For this exercise, we're going to listen to the drums with and without phase correction, as well as polarity correction. I wanted to play back the example of what this process does first before I go through the steps. So right now I have a session with the process completed, and if you look here, these are the drums that are lined up, and I'm going to use the shortcut Shift A to turn off the processing and turn it back on. You can see that some tracks have more samples of delay. Some of them even have a polarity reversal. So let's listen to these tracks without any of the phase and polarity. And then let's turn the phase and polarity back on. So you should noticeably hear low end, more punch, more clarity, more separation. And this is due to comb filtering of the tracks. And we are eliminating that by playing with the phase and polarity. So next I want to show you how to apply this process. In your book, you're going to see that you need to make sure you have the M Auto Align plugin installed. So when you go into Pro Tools, you should be able to see within your inserts the Melda M Auto Align plugin. This is the plugin that needs to be running after you've installed it. Now this is available in the book in the first chapter, I believe. So look in your chapters to find the information on how to install this plugin properly. The next, you will need to click on the link to download the track preset. When you are opening up this link, you're going to be presented with a folder on my OneDrive. Simply click on the drums right here and hit download. And when you download it, you're going to see it in your folder here. Copy this and drag this to your documents and look for your Pro Tools folder, track presets. So I already have a folder created that has this drums in it with the drum alignment. Now this is important because this is going to give you guys the proper subgrouping, the proper plugin assignments, as well as the settings within the plugin, which is the auto align for alignment. So we're going to go ahead and open up a fresh session now. We're going to go ahead and open up the session without any phase alignment applied. And you're going to see quickly here that I need to basically create a track preset that has all my plugins and all my routing, as well as my mix and edit groups. So if you just simply find within your session at the very top, I have a click here, but you could easily just go at the very bottom and then drag the tracks all the way up after you import. But I'm going to go ahead and just do it right here at the top. We are going to navigate to our drums folder, and you'll see actually it's going to be track presets. I should see drums right there. Drum alignment, that's what you're looking for, is this drop down for drum alignment. Hit create. And we can see quickly here that I have a kick in, kick out, but I do not have a kick subgroup. So we can highlight that kick subgroup and delete it. We also don't have a middle tom. We have just a tom 1 and a floor tom. So I'm going to go ahead into the tracks that I've imported and take out the middle tom. I've also do not have my I don't have any of the room mics. The rooms are actually in a mid side. So I'm going to actually remove all of my mid, or my rooms, excuse me. So my rooms need to be removed. And then I will right click and delete these tracks. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all these tracks and I'm going to go in and select them. Let's make sure that I have all of my drums in there. Command A, and if we group them, Command Option G, then we can hold down our Control key with our grabber tool and we can drag them up into the respective folders. And you can see everything lines up when I drag it to their folders. So I should now be able to ungroup it, Command Option U, and I've got kick in, kick out, snare top, bottom, hi-hat, tom 1, floor. You can see everything is lining up. Now these are actually mid-side recordings of my my rooms. You can see they even inverted it for me. I have one that's already been inverted. So this is all great. So if you look at your inserts on the plugins now, you'll see that you have everything inserted properly and your group assignments have already been created. If you look in your Auto Align, you're also going to see that the assignments the assignments of this plugin have already been applied. So the whole point of this process now is we are trying to use this plugin to phase align our bass drum, then go to the snares and do phase alignment, and then move into the overheads to get phase alignment, move into our ORTFs, and then finally we need to have everything which is going to go out to the drum set, which is all the remaining plugins going out to the drum set to be aligned. So it's really a multiple step process where I'm going to phase align my kicks first before they get into the subgroup, the snares into their subgroup, the overheads into their sub, the ORTFs, the mid-sides, all of those nested groups, we call them. They're groups within a group. We're going to phase align them first before we phase align them all towards the final drum set, which is the actual mix or drum subgroup. So here is the drum set group. All these groupings have been already created, so you should be set. So what we do is we typically find the most, I'm going to find the an area where drums are hitting pretty good, so probably right in this area. I'm going to hit play, and then I'm going to start doing phase alignment. So you should have heard a big change right there at the very end. And this was because it was taking all those nested groups and it was aligning them. So we need to actually go through and take the M-Auto delay settings that have been calculated to eliminate the comb filtering and apply them to the time adjuster. The reason we need to do this is so that we do not get a demo out period after 15 days. This plugin only works for 15 days to allow you to analyze and give you the samples. After that, you will get a white noise burst and all kinds of strange noises coming from the plugin. So we're going to use a workaround to take these settings that have been calculated and place them into the time adjuster. So we have 188 samples. We're going to go in here and type in 188, and I'm going to bypass it and just replace it right over the top. If you see a plugin that says 0, you can just take the plugins off. It didn't have to do any phase alignment. It actually took that track as a guide and pushed this one further back 188 samples to line up. So if you think about it, the in kick had to be pushed back 188 samples to line up with the kick out. So let's go into the subgroup here. The subgroup has to be pushed back quite a bit, so 735. And I just repeat this process. So anytime you have one that says 0, I'm guessing this is a 0, you can just simply take these plugins off. Anytime you have, for example, I know on the overhead, you most likely will have a 0 right there. and you will most likely have 0 on your furthest away microphones, which is your room mics. So I should have an invert here. Now, this is interesting. When I have an invert, this is a polarity change. So I can actually load up a standard stock EQ and just hit the polarity reversal. So we'll use a standard EQ1 and click the polarity. Now I want to go ahead and remove the rest of these. 31. Oops, let me go and put that back. There you go. 555 with an invert. This is 464 with an invert. Or a polarity switch. 465. $833. And the whole point of this process is so that we can eliminate the plugin and not have to deal with the 15-day trial period. $344. Make sure there's no polarity on that. Okay. This one's a 0, so we can remove it. This is one sample. When it's one sample, it's not going to make that big of a difference. And noticeably, too, you cannot actually set this to be one sample. It will default to 4. So you're going to be fine with taking that off. That's not going to make a big enough difference in the mix. So the last one here is 352. And there's no polarity on that, so we can take that off. There we go. So again, we should be able to take all of our drums, shut off the time adjuster, and hear a big difference. Now, sometimes you will have very minimal differences when you do this checking of phase and polarity on your drums. And if that's the case, then you may find this process not needed. But it is important to check your work. So whenever you're given sessions, you should always just take the time to just double check to see if your phase and polarity is actually working well for your mix. Otherwise, you can just forget this entire process and work with what you already have. So if you don't hear very big changes and it doesn't really suit your sound that you're looking for, then you do not have to do this. This is not a required process, but it is required to at least check. And you may find that it does not make that big of a difference. I personally think this makes a huge difference on my drum kit on this particular mix. I would prefer to keep it. So let me know if you have any questions on this process. Make sure that you are converting the M Auto Align plugin to the time adjuster so that you will get away from the 15-day trial. That's very important.